All right. Well, so I thought the best thing to do would be to start with an area that is near and dear to your heart, since you just had the meeting this morning with the social media
Okay.
ladies. So the value of having a social media presence as a contractor, general contractor, trade contractor. And so I want us to talk a little bit about that because chances are, whenever I meet anybody, it's the reluctance to get themselves out there, and you've gotten yourself out there quite a lot on social media.
Yeah.
So I'd start with, how many followers do we have at Lebo right now?
It moves, but like 10 to 11,000 right now. We're trying to cross that mark. It's been a little challenging to kind of jump over the 12,000 mark, but that's where we're at right now.
And when did, because I don't even know this either, when did you
Yeah.
actually decide to jump and take the leap and start making social media content filming yourself and all that stuff?
Yeah, so it was an interesting journey. So yeah, it's very powerful. So I am a very private person. I actually had
Yeah.
no social media besides like a Facebook that like had a picture from 10 years ago, and I would kept meeting with marketing companies and they'd be like, oh, like you need a social media, and I was like, maybe it was like 5 years ago, and I was of the mindset that just buy a lead, buy the data, call that person up who's interested, whatever that lead came from, HomeAdvisor, Thumbtack, and I know what I'm buying. I'm buying a piece of data. I'm calling them. They're interested in doing a room addition, and I thought the value of like doing this long-term investment and putting myself on camera was just ludicrous. And then after just hearing it over and over, I started. I was awkward and getting on camera. Like I don't put my kids on social media. Like I'm like really just like a private guy, right? And I don't like boasting. So the whole concept of it was just very foreign to me. And it was really cringy in the beginning. I would like get up at job sites and like, here, and you practice like anything else, and I started getting better. And really where the defining moment for me was when I walked into a prospective client, and they were talking to me like they knew me. They were like, oh,
Right.
and you do this and you do that. And I was like, damn, so I came in and there was just this like foundation of trust that they felt like they knew me through me making some posts and getting on stories. And that was just a major turning point.
But that was recent. I mean, that was like, so that gives people an idea to the time you began, putting yourself out there on social media to literally, I mean, that happened when I was there a couple months ago. Like I remember.
Well, it was happening more. Happening more. Like, I mean, from when I started it, when I started going all in, it probably took me like 6 months of just doing some scattered stuff. And then, yeah, when you came on board, it was already like, yeah, any house I walked into, even other construction companies, guys that see at the gym, they knew, they seen the content and like knew how many times a week I work out, and and like they knew some of my habits. So that was just, it was a bit essentially getting a lot of the small talk out of the way, and they're like, all right, let's, we know what you stand for, we know who you are, what you do, right, how you run your company, and let's talk about XYZ, like our immediate need.
Yeah, because even 6 months, I mean, I'm trying to get a feel for somebody listening who's like, I'm thinking about getting myself on social media, because most people won't stick with it for 6 days, let alone 6 months. So giving them a clear picture of like, look, it's going to take you, because I know, like, from my perspective, what social media does, and just in terms of, when I decided to join Lebo, right, it was like, I looked at it and said, there's huge value in here, because I could see right away on social media you weren't stopping, which from a marketing perspective, I look at and say, well, that's going to drive the cost of lead generation down through the floor.
Oh, yeah,
because
1,000%.
if you're paying for paid ads, now paid ads are, when I look at paid ads versus organic social, I look at it like this. Organic social media represents time. Paid ads represents money investment, right? Like but when you put the two of them together, it's literally it's the perfect storm.
That's what happened to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to give people an idea of is like our lead cost right now is maybe $30 for a good lead.
It's crazy.
It's crazy low.
Yeah.
And the reason it's crazy low is because we know how to do paid ads, right? We understand how to do that. We work on, we split test, and we put the time in. But then you put the time in, and our money's low as far as that goes. And then you put the time in on social media, which gives us an incredibly low lead cost. And I think that anyone trying to achieve that needs to understand that it's the combination of the two.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a major point because so to answer your question is like, yeah, it's basically a 3-year journey till now. I think I would actually want to check some posts, but it was about 2 to 3 years to get to where I am right now. And where I am right now is a very good place, and I've become a brand, right? And that's also another note to make is that I used to think that the company is the brand, right? And I was like, why do I need to put my face out there, right? And now I've understood, and like, look, we have a lot of jobs going, and we have director of construction operations and project managers and superintendents, and a lot of these clients I'm not really even communicating to, maybe once a month or, but I'm still the brand, right? People choose to go with me because they've seen me, they agree or connect with what we stand for, and essentially, like, I'm the spokesperson of our values and how we operate, right? So. But that's a big point because, I've spent ridiculous amounts of money on, as you know, on marketing, and in the sums of actually over $1 million. I want to say even over $2 million because I used to have a sales team until the end of 2021. So that was like, $100,000 a month ad budget. So I've hired multiple social media ad, like, whether it was Facebook ads or whatever, companies that got me zero, that I didn't just spend like $500. I spent like 10 grand, 20 grand, right. 30 grand. And I was always flabbergasted how they got me like zero. Mm-hmm. Like I would spend like 5 or 10 grand a month for 3 months. And like maybe 4 leads would trickle in, but they weren't even like qualified leads. Right. And that is the really good point. What you're saying is that once I had the foundation of the funnel, essentially, right, of the social media presence. Now what you do and what Zach does, like, yeah, we have this $30 or $60 lead cost. It's crazy,
right? Yeah. And I think that's important to drill down on too. Is that the amount that a lot of people want to throw money behind the problem. Yeah. And so I
did it.
And like even that guy that you brought, that guy you brought to us at one point and said, oh, we might want to help him out with his social media, his meta ads. And I said, there's no social media, organic social. It's going to take forever.
Yeah.
It was like we wouldn't have been able to do anything cheap for him. He would have had to spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
But the tendency for these marketing agencies to come in, be like, yeah, it's going to cost you $8 grand. It's going to cost you $10,000 a month. They place a bunch of ads and they do no work. They write 1 or 2 or 3 creative.
And it's not their money, so they don't give a shit.
It's not their money, and they're making a portion of it. So they're incentivized to charge you more. It's like fraud. Yeah. But let me ask you a question because this is going to resonate with people, I think. Who was the guru that you watched that convinced you to do social media? Because everybody's got one.
Yeah. There's some like kind of construction social media influencers, like Nick Schiffer of NS, I think it's NS Builders or NS Construction, in Massachusetts. There's Reisinger Builder. So there's like certain guys that they were really focused. Their audience was like trade contractors, right? And very technical content. But I'm looking at these guys and over 100,000 followers, and like I'm seeing, like, if I was a homeowner in Massachusetts, like even though this guy's content is geared towards builders, like I know everything about him. I know what he stands for just by looking at his page and following him. Like I would hire him in a second, right? Like the guy is a gem. So it's like following guys like that. And then I would go to like social, like, media companies. I'd be like, all right, this is the guy, like copy his, like, kind of what he's doing and take ideas from it and take ideas from his website. I ended up finding my own, brand voice. But yeah, I would say Nick Schiffer was one of the first ones from NS Builders or NS Construction. So
Yeah.
I'm getting that wrong.
Yeah, and he has quite a lot of followers. So
yeah, like close to 200,000, or maybe it's more than that at this point.
then that brings up a question. Then where were you in terms of number of followers when you started getting DMs from potential customers that resulted in business?
I mean, I would say under 1,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't, yeah. It was, and it was a mixture of things. It was like kind of like, the tentacles of an octopus, right? It's like I was on social media, but it also required, at the time I don't do it anymore, but I was running Google ads. But like they would always end up coming to the Instagram page. And
Right.
then from there, either calling into the office, DMing me. So it was interesting. Then we had to start like creating this tracking, to understand where our money was going and what was working. So that's a whole nother conversation, But so it was under 1,000. Now it's a lot more. Now we get messages of all vendors, trade contractors, potential clients. Yeah.
So where do you see it going? Because we just to let everybody out there know, we just started doing conversing with a social media management firm in hopes to get even better at it. So we're doing a pretty good job now, and we know there's areas we can improve upon. So what are some of the things we're trying to now evolve to and accomplish with that company?
Yeah, so I've had different social media management companies over the years, and I've evolved as a company and as a person and learned something from every, individual or company that managed the page. So what I found was, what I thought, an old belief that I had was just put up nice shit and you're good, right? And a lot of these social media managers think the same thing.
Right.
Where's your content? Where's your content? Where's the pictures of the finished houses, right? And then I'm like, well, some dude or chick, can build $100 million house and their content's going to look much nicer than my $5 million house or $8 million house that I'm building, right? Which is still crazy, but there's always going to be someone bigger and better with nicer content. So I was like, that's not it, right? And also they weren't performing. So I was paying, a social media management company like $1,500 a month, and I would send them folders of finished projects, but they weren't performing. They were not. I would have like thousands of followers and get like 20 likes or just no engagement, and they wouldn't do anything, right? So then I realized that it's an authenticity thing, and people want to see the processes and behind the scenes and how we get from here to there and what do we do different and the quality. And so I was like, that brought me to, I was like, well, if I'm filming all this and spending all that time doing the content, I might as well just like hire an editor and just post it, which we did, right? And we're currently doing. It's just, thank God, we're very busy, and it's like I don't want to be the director of that anymore because it's time consuming. It takes like an hour a day, and I don't want to. I can't be dealing with that. So we're interviewing right now management companies that we connect to their strategy, that are a higher level strategy of conversion and understand the authentic kind of brand voice. And so that's what we're looking at now. For somebody to take over I'll still need to film the content, right? I'll still need to get it over to the editor and take that time. Like that can't be, if I'm the brand, it can't be replaced. But having someone else just be like, hey, Joe, like this is what I need from you over the next 30 days, instead of me having to think about it and then post it and write it
So let's give people some tangible takeaways that they can apply right now to their construction business. So number one is, what are the bare minimum things you would say they need to start an organic social media campaign?
Well, considering that they already have a website, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming that, and the website has a contact us, page that works, right? And so what people will need is, if they are not ready to hire social media managers, to kind of find what's working. I mean, Instagram has, all the ad tools. They have the analytic tools, of your posts that are not ads, just regular posts. to see what's working, what's engaging, and what's not. So to create, and these days you can do it on ChatGPT. Like, hey, make me a content strategy. This is who I am. I'm a residential luxury, builder in Idaho, and give me a content strategy based on, the best, marketing, ChatGPT commands can be a whole different conversation, but you can get just an overall content strategy, and start shooting it. Just get behind camera, start shooting it, posting it. There's the scheduled posting apps for like $30 a month or less, right? And just start showing people what makes you different. Your quality, your process, who you are as an individual, which obviously is who you are as a company, and just put that out there.
Yeah. I would say the biggest, easiest way to save yourself a ton of money and actually stick with it is find that video editor. First thing is find a video editor, because you'll do only so much, and then you'll try to learn CapCut or you'll try to learn, God forbid, Final Cut Pro or right. Adobe, and you'll fall right on your face, and then you'll stop. So there's only so much you can do in the app and Instagram or something like that. So I'd say you pick a platform, then shoot some stuff of you talking, hire a video editor so that he can get around, add some B-roll and stuff like that, and then you'll start to learn the process that way. If you just do those three things, you can actually start walking, baby steps. Yeah. But you'll get a lot further than somebody who's like, I'm going to take it all on myself. Next thing you know, you try to spend 2 hours a day editing and you give up because you don't have the time.
Right. You got to run your jobs or whatever. Everyone's different. Like, you're very tech savvy. I fucking hate, it just makes me anxious, So like, I go on CapCut and I'm just like, fuck, Mike goes on CapCut, and it looks like a professional edited video, but obviously your value is not editing videos, but it depends who you are. Some people will be able to, navigate CapCut and that will work for them. We pay for like 15 videos a month, like $500 or $600 a month. Yeah. So it just depends where you're at. There's so many resources out there, but you got to get out there. You got to just create, okay, I'm going to need, 3 educational videos a week, 1 carousel post, which will be like, you got to just create an overall strategy and just start getting the content. Don't overthink it. You just keep posting. You can always delete something a month later, a week later if you're not happy.
And you can reuse stuff. I mean, that's the other thing, is that you have to, understanding how the platforms work and the algorithm a little bit is key too. Just understanding that, just because your followers saw it on a Monday, or just because a few of your followers saw it on Monday, if you posted it theoretically 1 month later on Monday, those same people aren't going to see it. It's going to find itself to a whole new audience. I mean, you want to do some adjustments sometimes to some things, because sometimes there's some talk about they dethrottle things when it's just a repeat, but I don't even know that to be true. But anyway, we can kind of wrap up on that. I would say if anybody out there wants to know more about what we do with social media or anything like that, go to truebuilder.com, and we offer consulting for this type of thing. So that's that.